Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you isn't coincidence. 3 nights ago, while you were sleeping, something unprecedented happened in the spiritual realm. The courts of heaven convened an emergency session, not for nations, not for wars, not for catastrophes, but for you. Your name was spoken aloud in the throne room. And the reason? Someone in your life right now, someone close, carries an assignment against your destiny. But here's what shook the angelic hosts. You are already sensing it. Before heaven even sent the official warning, your spirit had already begun to recoil. You felt that strange heaviness when they texted, that unexplainable discomfort when they walked into the room, that sudden urge to create distance without knowing why. And the moment you started to trust that inner alarm, heaven moved. What you thought was paranoia was actually prophecy. What you dismissed as overthinking was actually divine intelligence downloading into your consciousness. The monitoring systems of eternity locked onto your situation, and a directive was issued. Protect this one at all costs. Right now, as you hear these words, that person is still trying to reach you, still trying to regain access, still smiling while hiding intentions you were never meant to accommodate. But you've been flagged, you've been marked, and heaven has already begun the process of exposing them, not to hurt you, but to save you from a derailment you can't even see yet. The warning isn't coming. It already came, and you felt it. What happened to you doesn't happen to everyone. Let me be very clear about this. The average person walks through life without heaven intervening in their personal relationships. Most people are allowed to learn through consequence, through pain, through betrayal that could have been avoided. But not you. The fact that you received a warning before the damage was done places you in a category that most believers will never enter. Throughout spiritual history, this kind of preemptive intervention has been reserved for those carrying assignments too critical to be delayed by detours. When God warned Joseph in a dream to flee Egypt, it wasn't because Joseph was lucky. It was because the Messiah's bloodline was in his care. When an angel redirected Philip on the desert road, it wasn't random. It was because an Ethiopian official's conversion would change a continent. These weren't casual protections. They were strategic extractions. And that's exactly what's happening to you right now. You're not just being shielded from hurt feelings or disappointment. You're being rerouted away from a person whose presence in your life would have consumed years you do and have to waste. The spiritual intelligence agencies of heaven don't mobilize for trivial matters. They don't sound alarms for minor inconveniences. When they move, it's because something precious is at stake. And you are that something. The Crown has identified you as essential personnel, and essential personnel don't get to stumble into traps that derail the mission. So this warning you've been feeling is not a suggestion. It has a command from realms that see what you can't. Now, let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about this. About 2 weeks ago, maybe 3, you made a decision that seemed small at the time. You chose honesty when lying would have been easier. You told the truth even though it cost you something, maybe a relationship, maybe an opportunity, maybe just comfort. You walked away from a situation that everyone else said you were overreacting about. You set a boundary that made people uncomfortable. You said no when your people-pleasing instincts screamed yes. You chose integrity in a moment when no one was watching, when there was no applause, no recognition, no reward. It felt lonely. It felt like you were being too much, too rigid, too serious. But what you didn't know was that heaven was watching that exact moment. That decision you made in private became a marker in the spiritual realm. It sent a signal upward that you could be trusted with warnings, with insight, with protection that others forfeit through compromise. Because here, as the truth they do and teach in church, discernment is only given to those who've already proven they'll obey it. God doesn't waste revelation on people who won't act on it. He doesn't send warnings to those who'll ignore them for comfort or convenience. So when you honored that inner voice 2 weeks ago, you activated a protocol. You proved you were someone who could handle the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. And that's precisely why you're receiving this warning now about this person. Heaven knows you'll actually do something about it. What you need to understand is that you've been under observation far longer than you realize. This isn't about one moment or one decision. There's an entire division in the heavenly realm assigned specifically to monitor vessels like you people who carry world-changing assignments wrapped in ordinary lives. You think you're just going to work, raising kids, paying bills, scrolling your phone. But in the invisible realm, your life is being documented with the kind of precision reserved for those who will shift atmospheres. Every conversation you have is recorded. Every thought you entertain is noted. Every motive behind every action is weighed and measured. And it's not just heaven watching. The opposition has had you under surveillance too. They've studied your patterns, your weaknesses, your open doors. They know when you're tired, when you're vulnerable, when you're most likely to let the wrong person in. That individual heaven is warning you about. They didn't just randomly appear in your life. They were sent, strategically placed, carefully disguised. Their job was to gain your trust, access your energy, and slowly pull you off course without you noticing until it was too late. But here's where their plan failed. They didn't account for the fact that you remarked, protected, covered by forces they can't overpower. So while they were plotting, heaven was counter-maneuvering. While they were positioning, angels were being dispatched. And the moment you started feeling that check in your spirit, the surveillance footage from both sides was reviewed, and heaven made the call to blow their cover. Let me take you back through the last 6 months of your life, because what felt random wasn't. You were being tested, and you didn't even know you were in the exam room. Remember when your coworker asked you to cover for their lie and you refused, even though it made things awkward? That was a test. Remember when you could have exaggerated your story to sound more impressive, but you kept it truthful instead? That was a test. What about that moment when you found out someone betrayed you, and instead of retaliating, you chose silence and let God handle it? Test. When you had the chance to gossip, to join the crowd in tearing someone down, and you walked away? Test. When you were overlooked for the promotion, the recognition, the opportunity, and you didn't grow bitter or sabotage the person who got it. Test. When money was tight and you still gave, still honored your commitments, still refused to compromise your values for a shortcut? Test. Every single one of those moments was observed, recorded, weighed in the courts of heaven. And each time you chose the higher road, each time you honored integrity over convenience, you were building a case file in the spiritual realm. You were proving that you could be trusted with greater assignments, with supernatural insight, with divine protection. The trials weren't there to break you. They were there to certify you. And now, because you passed what most people fail, you're being granted access to information that could save you years of pain. Heaven doesn't waste this level of intervention on people who won't steward it. You earned this warning. Here's what happened after those tests. You were reclassified. In the spiritual ranking system, you were moved from general believer to trusted operative. The angelic forces assigned to you were upgraded. Your case file was marked with a designation that changes everything. Consecrated and dangerous. Dangerous not to the kingdom, but to the kingdom of darkness. You became a threat the moment you proved you couldn't be bought, manipulated, or distracted. The heavenly council took note of your pattern. You don't just talk about faith, you live it when no one's looking. You don't just claim to trust God, you actually walk away from what doesn't align. That makes you rare. Statistically, spiritually, cosmically rare. Most people negotiate with their convictions. They bend their boundaries when pressure comes. They compromise their standards when the price is right. But you've demonstrated something different, and that's why you're being treated differently. The recognition isn't about pride, it's about protection. When heaven identifies someone as crucial to the unfolding plan, that person gets resources others don't. You get warnings before the trap is fully set. You get rerouted before the accident happens. You get insight that saves you from years of turmoil. And right now, you're experiencing that exact privilege. The person you're being warned about has fooled everyone else. Their reputation is intact. Their mask is convincing. But you've been given X-ray vision into their true intent because you reclassified as someone who can't afford to be fooled. You're too valuable, too necessary, too essential to the mission. Let me tell you what happened in the throne room when your situation escalated. The father leaned forward. That's not metaphorical. When something concerns one of his chosen instruments, his attention sharpens. The archangels were summoned Michael, Gabriel, and others whose names you've never heard, because their assignments aren't in your Bible. They don't intervene in human affairs often, but when they do, it's because a timeline is at stake. Your timeline. They watched as this person continued to maneuver closer to you, texting, calling, showing up, offering help that had hooks hidden in it. They observed the subtle manipulations, the guilt trips, the love bombing, the way this individual studied your weaknesses and tailored their approach. And then they saw the moment you hesitated, the moment you almost ignored your gut, the moment you almost said, maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe I should give them another chance. That's when the Father spoke, not audibly to you, but into the realm of your spirit. He released a frequency that your soul recognized, even if your mind didn't. Suddenly, you felt it, that heaviness, that dread, that absolute knowing that something is wrong. That wasn't anxiety. That was the voice of God translated into a feeling you couldn't dismiss. The divine witnesses didn't just observe, they intervened. They amplified your discernment. They turned up the volume on the warning until you couldn't ignore it anymore. And they did it because they saw something you still don't fully see. The future that gets destroyed if you let this person stay. And then the decree was issued. In the courts of heaven, in the council chambers where destinies are discussed and assignments are authorized, your name was called and a verdict was rendered. Activate them now. Not next year. Not when they're more mature. Not when they feel ready. Now. The gavel came down, and with it, a release of authority you've never operated in before. You've been officially commissioned as a carrier of light in dark places, a detector of lies in rooms full of pretense, a disruptor of agendas that masquerade as blessings. This wasn't a gentle suggestion. It was a command embedded in your DNA, written into your spiritual identity, encoded in the way you'll move from this day forward. The decree carried with it supernatural downloads, heightened discernment, the ability to sense spirits before people even speak, an inner alarm system that can't be overridden by charm or manipulation. You're no longer operating on human intuition. You've been plugged into divine intelligence. And part of that activation is this: you will know who to remove and when to remove them. You won't need a committee. You won't need unanimous approval. You won't even need all the facts. When heaven says move, you'll move. When the warning comes, you'll obey. Because the decree isn't just about protecting you, it's about positioning you. Every wrong person you remove makes room for the right assignments to enter. Every boundary you enforce trains you for the authority you're about to carry. The universe has spoken your promotion into existence, and this test with this person is your initiation into a level of spiritual warfare most people never touch. So let me tell you who you really are, because the enemy has worked overtime to keep you from knowing this. You're not just a believer. You're not just faithful. You're not just someone trying to live right and make it to heaven. You are an ancient soul, called before the foundation of the world, set apart before you took your first breath. You are a celestial warrior wrapped in human skin, strategically placed in this exact time, in this exact location, for battles that haven't even started yet. The reason your life has felt so intense, so opposed, so heavy at times, is because you're not living an ordinary existence. You're on assignment. The spiritual realm knows your name. Demons flee when you pray not because of your words, but because of the authority stamped on your spirit. Angels respond to your voice because you carry clearance most humans never receive. You are part of a remnant generation of chosen ones being awakened right now, all over the world, to stand in the gap, to hold the line, to be the ones who don't bow when everyone else does. That's why the warning came. That's why heaven moved. Because if the enemy could take you out through this one person, through this one compromise, through this one open door, he could delay or destroy assignments that affect thousands. You're not protecting just yourself by listening to this warning. You're protecting everyone connected to your destiny. Your identity isn't rooted in what you do. It's rooted in who you were before time began. And now that identity is being activated, and nothing will ever be the same. Your mission is simple, but not easy. Anchor integrity in every room you enter. You are being positioned as a standard, a plumb line, a walking embodiment of what it looks like to choose truth over comfort. In a world that's drowning in deception, performative spirituality, and transactional relationships, you've been assigned to be different. Not loud, not preachy, just unmovable. Your presence alone will make people uncomfortable because light always exposes what's hidden. Your refusal to compromise will convict those who've been negotiating with darkness. Your boundaries will challenge those who've been operating without them. And that's the point. You're not here to blend in. You're here to disrupt every counterfeit system you encounter, starting with your own life. This situation with this person, it's your first official assignment under this new mandate. How you handle this will set the tone for everything that follows. Will you obey the warning, or will you second-guess it? Will you trust what you feel, or will you let guilt and people-pleasing override your discernment? The mission requires that you move with the confidence of someone who knows they're being guided by forces that see the entire chessboard. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to justify your boundaries. You just need to obey. And as you do, you'll begin to notice something. The right people will start appearing. The right opportunities will start opening. The right conversations will start happening. Because when you protect your assignment by removing threats, heaven releases reinforcements. Your mission is to be so committed to truth that you become a magnet for others who are hungry for the same thing. And here is where it gets even better. The moment you fully obey this warning and remove this person from your space, watch what happens in the physical realm. Within days, maybe even hours, you're going to notice a shift. That job opportunity you've been waiting for, it's going to move forward. That financial breakthrough that's been stalled, it's going to release. That relationship you've been praying about, clarity is coming. Because here is a truth most people miss. Disobedience to divine warnings doesn't just affect you spiritually, it blocks you materially. When you allow the wrong people to stay, they don't just drain your energy. They clog the pipeline of blessing. They occupy space meant for someone else. They consume time meant for something greater. But the moment you create the separation heaven is requiring, you break the bottleneck. Suddenly, doors that were jammed start opening. Phone calls you've been waiting for start coming. Ideas that were stagnant start flowing. It's not magic, it's alignment. When your life lines up with heaven's instructions, the resources of heaven start lining up with your needs. You'll see favor in places that made no sense. You'll see provision that defies your current circumstances. You'll see connections form that you didn't orchestrate. And people will ask you what changed, what you did differently. You'll smile because you'll know. You simply obeyed a warning no one else could hear. You honored the check in your spirit. You valued your assignment more than your comfort. And because of that, heaven moved on your behalf. But it doesn't stop with you. The moment you step into this level of obedience and discernment, something shifts in the people around you. They can't explain it, but they feel it. Your coworkers start asking different questions. Your family members start noticing a strength in you they've never seen before. Friends who used to call you paranoid or too intense start quietly admiring your boundaries. You become a permission slip for others to trust their own intuition. See, most people are ignoring warnings right now. They feel the check. They sense the red flag, but they talk themselves out of it because everyone else seems fine with the person. They don't want to be difficult. They don't want to seem judgmental. But when they watch you honor what you feel without apology, without needing validation, something awakens in them. You won't have to preach about it. You won't have to post about it. Your life will preach. The peace you walk in will be louder than any sermon. The clarity you operate with will convict people more than any Bible verse. And slowly, one by one, people in your circle will start waking up. They'll start setting boundaries. They'll start listening to that inner voice. They'll start removing people and things that don't align. And they'll trace it back to you. The moment they saw you choose yourself, choose your peace, choose obedience over people-pleasing. You're not just protecting your own destiny by obeying this warning. You're teaching an entire network of people how to do the same. Your courage creates a ripple, and that ripple becomes a wave that shifts the atmosphere around you. What you need to understand is that you're not alone in this. Right now, as you're hearing this, there are thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people, just like you all over the world, receiving the exact same type of warning. Different person, same assignment against their destiny. Heaven is activating a global network of chosen ones who are being trained to operate in discernment, to move in authority, to refuse every counterfeit connection. In Berlin, someone just blocked a number. In São Paulo, someone just ended a friendship. In Manila, someone just walked away from a business deal that felt wrong. In Atlanta, someone just said no to a relationship everyone told them to say yes to. You are part of a synchronized awakening, a remnant that's being positioned to hold the line in the coming years. You've been wondering why you feel so different, why you can't just go along to get along like everyone else. It's because you're part of this network. You're connected to a company of people who were marked before birth, scattered across nations, across cultures, across denominations, but united by one thing, a refusal to compromise. And as each of you obeys the warnings you're receiving, as each of you removes the threats heaven is exposing, the network strengthens. The grid activates, and a frequency is released into the earth that begins to dismantle systems of deception on a massive scale. You're not just making a personal decision. You're part of a global movement. And every act of obedience you perform sends a signal to the others. Keep going. You're not crazy. This is real. So here's what I need you to do right now. If this message resonated with you, if you felt that witness in your spirit, if you know exactly who heaven is warning you about, don't ignore it. Don't wait for more confirmation. Don't give them one more chance to prove you wrong. Act, create the distance, enforce the boundary, remove the access. And then do this. Drop a 777 in the comments right now. That's not just a number, it's a declaration. It's you agreeing with heaven's warning. It's you signaling to the spiritual realm that you're in alignment, that you're ready to move, that you're choosing obedience over comfort. And if this message saved you from a disaster you didn't even see coming, subscribe to this channel because there's more coming. More activations, more revelations, more confirmations that you're exactly who heaven says you are. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Chances are they're getting the same warning about someone in their life. And finally, stay until the very end of this video because there's an impartation being released through your obedience. The longer you stay in this frequency, the stronger the activation becomes. You didn't find this message by accident. Heaven made sure it reached you at the exact moment you needed it. Now it's your move. Will you obey or will you negotiate? The choice is yours, but the warning has been delivered. 777.